If you're a die-hard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. In a twist that nobody, and I mean nobody, saw coming, the NFL rumor mill is spinning out of control this week with what could be the biggest, most shocking move of the offseason: Aaron Donald potentially heading to the Cleveland Browns. Yes, you heard that right. Not the Rams, not retirement, but the Browns. After months of whispers about Donald hanging up the cleats or riding off into the sunset as A1 franchise legend, suddenly there's buzz about a deal being worked out behind the scenes that could send the three-time Defensive Player of the Year to the shores of Lake Erie. It sounds insane, I know, but when you piece together the breadcrumbs being dropped by insiders, players, and even the cryptic social media posts, this thing is starting to feel real, really real. And if it happens, oh man, the NFL landscape would never be the same again. Now let's take a moment to appreciate the magnitude of what we're talking about. Aaron Donald isn't just any defensive lineman. This is arguably the most dominant defensive player of the modern era, a one-man wrecking crew, a nightmare in the trenches. The kind of player that makes quarterbacks hear footsteps in their sleep. For a guy like that to even entertain the idea of leaving the Rams, the only team he's ever known, would already be big news, but to think he'd jump to a team like the Cleveland Browns, that's a whole different level of jaw-dropping. The Browns have talent, no doubt, especially on the defensive side with guys like Myles Garrett. But pairing Garrett and Donald on the same line, that's video game stuff. That's unfair. And that's exactly why this rumor is blowing up across the NFL community. Because if it's even remotely true, it's going to send shockwaves through every front office. What's really adding fuel to the fire here is how quiet the Rams have been about all of this. Normally, when a big rumor like this drops, teams are quick to squash it, issue a statement, call it nonsense, leak to a reporter that it's not happening. But from the Rams, radio silence, and silence can be loud in the NFL. Some insiders are saying that Donald has been quietly frustrated with the direction of the team. Since their Super Bowl win, they went all in for that ring, and now the roster is looking, well, let's just say not as competitive. Could it be that Donald wants one last shot at a deep playoff run before calling it a career? And could he believe that shot might come from a team that's been knocking on the door for years, but never quite gotten over the hump, like the Browns? Now let's talk about the money, because this wouldn't be just a football move. We're hearing whispers that the Browns are willing to go where no team has gone before, offering a never-before-seen kind of deal to lure Donald out of Los Angeles. Think mega money. Think record-setting guarantees. Think creative contract structuring. That not only pays Donald what he's worth, but also gives him an out if he decides to retire after a year or two. The kind of deal that makes headlines even before a single down is played. Remember, this is a front office that's already proven it's willing to take big swings. Just look at the Deshaun Watson contract. Love it or hate it, the Browns aren't afraid to spend. And if they believe that adding Aaron Donald could finally be the missing piece to a Super Bowl puzzle, they might just break the bank. From the Browns' perspective, the timing couldn't be more perfect. They've got a stacked defense that's just a few inches from being elite. Myles Garrett is already one of the best edge rushers in the league, and the addition of Darius Smith last season showed that they're serious about building a championship-caliber pass rush. But imagine adding Aaron Donald into that mix. You suddenly have the most terrifying front four in football. A group that could shut down even the most explosive offenses. Not to mention the pressure it would take off the secondary, with Donald collapsing pockets from the interior and Garrett and Smith flying off the edges. Opposing quarterbacks wouldn't even have time to blink. It's the kind of move that makes offensive coordinators lose sleep and opposing linemen pray for mercy. But what about Donald himself? He's always been about legacy, about dominance, about winning. If you're Aaron Donald, and you know your playing days are numbered, wouldn't you want to go out on top? Wouldn't you want to cement your place in history with one more deep playoff run, maybe another ring? And if the Rams aren't in a position to offer that, which, let's be honest, they might not be, then why not look elsewhere? Especially if that elsewhere is offering a ton of cash, a loaded roster, and a fresh new challenge. Cleveland might not be the first city that comes to mind when you think of NFL greatness, but they've built something legitimate there, something real. And with a leader like Donald in the locker room, that whole team's mentality could shift overnight. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. There's also been some curious activity on social media. You know how players are. They love to drop hints, whether it's intentional or not. Donald recently followed a few Browns players on Instagram. Harmless, maybe. Or maybe it's the kind of breadcrumb that turns into a full-blown loaf once the news breaks. There have also been some cryptic emojis, vague workout videos, and one especially spicy eye emoji tweet from a Browns assistant coach that has fans completely losing it. Is it all smoke and mirrors? Maybe, but in this league, where perception is everything, these little signs can be massive, and when you put them all together, it starts to look a lot like a storm is brewing, and Cleveland might be the epicenter. Let's not forget what this would mean for the AFC North, a division that's already loaded with talent. Lamar Jackson's Ravens, Joe Burrow's Bengals, the ever-scrappy Steelers, and now the Browns could suddenly vault to the top of the food chain with one move. The narrative around Cleveland has always been one of almost great, almost there. But this would flip the script entirely. No longer the underdogs, no longer the punchline. If this deal goes through, the Browns become the hunted, and that's a role they've never really had, but maybe, just maybe, they're ready for it. Aaron Donald would bring not just his talent, but his championship pedigree, his attitude, his fire, the kind of presence that changes the way a whole team carries itself, of course. We have to acknowledge, this is still a rumor, nothing confirmed. No official sources on the record, but when this many voices start to buzz, insiders, analysts, former players, even some coaches, you start to pay attention. And even if the deal isn't finalized, the fact that it's even possible tells you a lot about where both these franchises are mentally. The Rams might be ready to move into a new era. The Browns, they're done waiting, done hoping. They want to win now. And if it means throwing the vault at a generational talent to get there, so be it. Because in the NFL, windows close fast, and Cleveland sees theirs swinging wide open. The only question is, does Aaron Donald walk through it? So, is it happening? Is Aaron Donald really about to shock the world and suit up in orange and brown? Only time will tell, but this story has legs and it's picking up speed by the hour. One thing's for sure, if it does happen, it'll be one of the most stunning, game-changing moves in NFL history, a seismic shift, a power play that shakes the entire league. For now, we wait, we speculate, we refresh Twitter like maniacs. Because in the NFL, sometimes the craziest rumors are the ones that end up being true, and this one, it's got all the makings of something legendary. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you liked the video, share it with a fellow fan, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!